There was an itch across my forehead right now, right along the lines of that crease. I wanted to scratch, but I didn't. I resisted the impulse. I resisted the discomfort. I resisted my need to heal myself of the inconvenience of an itch on my temple. Because I'm trying to lead humanity. I'm trying to show people the way, forge a path, allow others to follow. And it really starts in the most mundane way. A scratch across the forehead. Don't scratch your forehead. Lead. Lead where? Wow. Almost, right? Almost deflated into convenience. Almost emasculated myself. Almost cut off my balls so I could scratch my head. Don't scratch your head. Lead. Lead where? Do you know that you collapse? You want to lead. I want to lead. But you don't know how. Because you don't know what leadership means. Because you've been born in a climate of castration. And you don't know that. I have a cat. This cat's awesome. When this cat was born, or shortly thereafter, clip the balls. Castrated cat. No more testicles. But the cat doesn't know that the cat don't got no testicles. The cat don't know how to lead. The cat just being the cat. Now, as humans, we are like these cats. Damn, I itched myself, scratched myself. I've got a beard, I've got all these temptations, all these bristly temptations, this outcropping of trees on my face. And I feel like I gotta maintain it. A little lawn maintenance here. Shrubbery removal. Where would you lead? See, if you don't have any sense of truth, how can you lead? Now, you can lead in trivial matters. You can lead in significant matters. But the act of leadership itself is not trivial. The act of leadership is significant. It's actually ultimate. Because even if you're just leading a little kid to go to the convenience store to buy a popsicle, in that moment, you are embodying the truth of that act, which is, this kid is hangry, needs a popsicle. Now, you could even ramp up your leadership in that moment and subtly steer that child toward a more healthy fulfillment of his hunger. Get him something healthy, a nice, healthy salad or sandwich with protein. Vegetarianism and veganism is anti-masculine. There's this truth that people absorb, but it's not true. So you're getting that kid a healthy alternative, a good sandwich with meat, vegetables, maybe wheat, who knows. And if he says he has a gluten allergy, you just look at him and say, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Well, Mommy always told me I had a gluten allergy." And I'm like, "Is she sure?" All these allergies, all these inconveniences, intolerant. Lead. Find truth. If you can't find truth, that is your truth. And then you pop back. You've paid for the sandwich and you're exiting the convenience store and the bell rings against the glass. And you turn to the kid and the kid turns to you. The kid doesn't know what to do next, is looking to you for the truth of the moment as to where to be led. I don't know where to go. And then, boom, in that moment, the child has to lead himself. The child knows how. Why? Because this young man, or boy really, could someday be a father. In his DNA, he knows how to lead, because in his DNA is the possibility of being a father, of leading his beloved wife, of leading his children. So, that is a prehistoric truth. It's prehistoric. We can imagine men millions of years ago leading their beloved wife or partner. They may have not called it wife back then. And leading his children. Where? To water, to food, to safety, to prosperity, to happiness. And that would have been the truth of his embodied presence millions of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, thousands of years ago, centuries ago, yesterday, today. A man's capacity to lead is his capacity for truth. A man's capacity for truth is his capacity to lead. Even a boy can do it. A boy doesn't want to do it because the boy is still insecure and doesn't know the world and looks to the man to guide the boy. Because the man, what? Has greater command. When you look at a man, you can see the presence of command. That's what a man is. A man is in command of himself, of his environment. And if he's not in control of his environment, he sure as hell wants to be. And if he's not in control of his environment, he will cooperate with other men in order to be. Because they want to be in control of their environment too, in command of their environment. As a team, they don't compete, they cooperate. And they're in command of the environment together. And if they can't be in command, for whatever reasons, they're out. Lead. Don't scratch. Lead. So what is the truth? It's the truth of any given moment, where you must. You are compelled. You lead. Okay. And now, in the 21st century, it's quite subtle, very intricate, and very nuanced. Because in this world, women can go out and take care of things themselves, right? They can go get a job and bring home the bacon and take care of the kids. Some men can do that, women can do that. There's a kind of parity there. But notice something. There's still truth. In this world, in 2020, what is truth? Because if a man can zero in on truth, he knows how to lead. The truth shows him the direction. Right? So it's almost tautological to say that truth is leadership and leadership is truth. Because then you're just like, But when you actually know the truth as a man, you move in that direction, and that's the leadership. If you don't know the truth as a man, then you don't know where to go. And if you don't know where to go, you're not leading. The leadership of a man is every single moment. The leadership of a man is every single moment. Why? Because the man of which I am speaking, the masculine man, is truth. Every moment. And when he falls out of that, he's not leading, and his masculinity precipitously declines. So we can lead in relatively insignificant ways, and we can lead in the most significant way possible, which is to embody the truth. Now that might seem like an abstraction to you, but it's actually quite grounded. The truth of a man is his embodied presence. But if he doesn't know the truth of the reality around him and the world around him, he can't be embodied because he's constantly skittish. Now this might be a kind of juvenescent skittishness, or it might be a more mature skittishness, in which he's a man physically, physiologically, but he's constantly caught up in all these different snags and diversions. And therefore he's not truly embodied presence. The snags and diversions, the scratches across the forehead and the itches in his beard, ultimately, cumulatively take over. So he exerts his masculinity in all these little matters without being embodied presence at the same time. He's sucked into the diversions. So outwardly he may appear as a man, but if you get to know him, he's all over the place. I was looking at a photograph of a governor. He's not a man. He's thoroughly emasculated. And it's so astonishing to me that this man is governing a state. And then you look at women governors, and you see that they're so much more masculine than these male governors. And you're like, what has happened? Truth is the embodied presence of a man. When you see a man truly leading and not getting sucked into the skittish diversions of his environment, but commanding reality, He may be leading in one or two or many ways, but he is completely leading specifically in that way of being embodied presence. That's the leadership, because that's the man who's in command. So you look at this governor, and you're like, that guy has no embodied presence. And you look at this governess, and you're like, that lady has no embodied presence either. Why would anybody trust these leaders? They're not leaders. They're rulers. Which is why it's actually irrelevant, so to speak, that they're either emasculated or too masculinized. They're not there to lead. They're puppets. A man who leads is someone who you just are like, oh my God, where have you been? Of course, that's if you appreciate a man who leads, rather than attack a man who leads, or hate a man who leads, or ignore a man who leads, or disregard a man who leads. So, in the West, truth has been demolished. And so we don't even think it's a truth that masculine men embody the truth. That can't be a truth for us. Because A, we don't believe in truth, and B, we have a hard time believing in masculinity, which of course is no surprise, given the world and given the indoctrination at far-left universities and in the media and in entertainment, where men who are emasculated are presented as virtuous and women who are masculinized are presented as role models. The stronger the masculinity, the more you can field everything while remaining in embodied presence. And when you're taken out of that, you go back in. Now, how can you do that, and why would you do that? Because the cosmos is alive. The cosmos is alive. So we're not just some entities floating on an orb in desolate, empty space. That's one narrative, and it basically bleaches out the universe as a living organism. But when you are a man, and you understand that the universe is alive, and you embody that with your presence, and you are so organically animated, then that is a truth. Capital T. And that is what leads. Because you're showing everybody around you, you're broadcasting to everyone around you that the universe is alive. When you understand that the universe is alive, you also understand that you are not cut off or separate from the universe as a living being. In fact, you are that living being in this particular form, but you're not limited to this particular form. Now imagine a man who walks into a room knowing that he is this living universe. He's going to be leading much more than just buying you a popsicle or a sandwich at the local convenience store. He's going to be showing you what's up with reality itself. And then it restores truth, it restores masculinity, it restores leadership. And this man understands that no one around him may understand. And that's okay. Because if everybody knew that, well then, he wouldn't be leading, would he? And if someday everybody understands that, well, evolution doesn't stop. It's not a train that hits the station and everybody gets off and then it's done. Evolution never stops. And that's why this man, who is truth as embodied presence, is always going to have to feel all this skittishness around him, in him, and remain so completely solid. And he inspires everyone to pick up their game. And eventually you have to understand that the train never stops. Permanently. It stops at stations. Momentarily. Things get off, things come in. And then it keeps going. Going and going and going and going and going. It's the train of evolution. Just going around the globe. And if you're in that train, and all the men around you are scratching their foreheads because they can't resist the itch, and they're so caught up in the skittishness on their temple, you can do them a favor. You can look them in the eyes and tell them to stop scratching.